Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome to my Crescent Crusader ranged endgame build for Moon Knight for Marvel Heroes Omega for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Now with this build guide we will cover the skills, talents, synergies, infinity point allocation, gearing priority, and we will also show off some gameplay to get you set up and really mowing down enemies with this build. Now we do have two variants. We have one that's more risk reward and one that's more balanced, so I'll certainly show both of them off as well. Now if you do want to jump to any particular section of the video, check out the description below and there are timestamps there. Otherwise we'll start off by looking at the skills. Skill wise here then we have a complete set of range skills, and like most of the builds I've previewed so far, we have a nice easy rotation to follow as well. Now the main spender we are using is Crescent launchers, and through talents we've got this so that show ammo and it bounces between enemies, which is fantastic for when there's groups of mobs. On top of this it will help restore your Khonshu's favour, which is your main resource. Now the next skill we're using is one that had me kinda a bit lost with what to do with the build, because it seems strange to use it in this manner, but it does work great, and it's Explosive Crescent Dart. Now this is set up in that it appears to be a main spender as well, but I'm not using it for that. I'm using it purely to apply the vulnerability, because I have tested this, and although it just simply says applies vulnerability to enemies hit by the Crescent, it lasts for 8 seconds as well, so that ties in perfectly with a rotation. So we'll quickly fire one of these off to start a rotation. We then have Angel Wing Attack Run, a nice standard 8-second cooldown skill. Following on from that we have Crescent Fan. Now the way this is set up is that it works as a bleed. You do have the initial damage packet as well, but it's mainly the bleed we're using it for. We'll throw it out, leave the dot on the enemy, that lasts for 8 seconds, again fitting in with a rotation perfectly, and we have 2 charges on it as well. Not that they're really needed, but we do have them there. We then have Tripwire Bolas, and again this is another dot skill, and it immobilises the enemy and it has an 8-second duration. The immobilise is 3 seconds. We then got onto the really interesting skills, and the one I've selected here is Avatar of Vengeance. So when you've got full resource you can cast this. Your health is reduced to 1, it cannot be regenerated and cannot be reduced below 1, so you're invincible essentially, and 0.3% of the damage you deal is returned to you as health when the gift expires. Now as you actually stack your resource through various means, it will increase the duration of this, and it's 1 second per 200 resource. Your resource of course being Khonshu's favour there. So we've also got this set up through talents, and the way Moon Knight works is the less health he has the more damage he does, but through talents we've got it set up for every 1% health we're missing we gain 1% base damage. So when we activate this and lose 99% of our actual health, we're gaining 99% base damage, which is just shy of 4000 damage, which is really pretty incredible. Now after activating this we're wanting to use Launcher Frenzy. So this is your signature. It's activated up to 14 times within 7 seconds, so you just hold it down and it'll fire out loads of these different launchers, and then the final one hits for a huge amount and it works as an execute as well. So when you use this in an enemy that has low health combined with the Avatar of Vengeance buff, you'll be seeing the enemy's health bar strip way down exceptionally quickly, and you'll be seeing lots of red numbers all over the screen as well for all your brutals. But next up here, let's have a look at the talents. For the talents we have 2 slightly different setups we can use. One of them is really based around the low health and getting your damage numbers way through the roof. Another one is a more balanced build that you can use. Now the one we're showing off here, but we'll discuss our talents, but the ones that are highlighted and we're shown off are for the risk reward build. So it's Tribute to Khonshu. So with this you gain a 2.5% flat critical hit and brutal strike chance. As your health drops below 60%, which it will due to this skill, you gain 7.5% critical hit and brutal strike chance, so of course that adds up to 10% there. Now on top of that, brutal strikes terrify enemies for 1.5 seconds and generate 5% of your max Khonshu's favour. That has a 6-second cooldown, and you can see the portion where it says when you're not below 40% max health, when you damage an enemy it drains your health, so that keeps you with the low health build. Now if you want a more balanced setup, you can go for Fear of God. So Gruesome Frenzy generates 1% of max Khonshu's favour per hit, and its Finishing Crush generates 5% of max Khonshu's favour. This is actually your signature launcher frenzy, but it's a tooltip error that it doesn't update, so your signature will also gain a 10% damage buff from using this, so it's down to you which one you want to use there. For talent number 2, we have Speciality Crescent Darts. So Crescent Dart Throw transforms into Explosive Dart Throw, and that means that it will explode in an area when you throw it out, so you're applying the vulnerability to multiple enemies. And on top of that, Crescent Launchers gets that awesome bounce when it goes up between 4 enemies. Now next talent, it's Tools of Vengeance Utility Crescents. So this will increase the damage of your Crescent fan skill, gives you the 2 charges, and it also adds a dot and immobilize onto the tripwire bolas, which is really great. For talent line number 4, we have Tools of Vengeance Launchers, and this transforms your signature from Gruesome Frenzy into Launcher Frenzy, so it changes it from melee to ranged. Nice and simple there. We then have Facing the Madness, and this is the talent you would use for the more risk reward orientated build. So your damage goes down by 30%, however, this is the important part, Fist of Khonshu's total damage bonus increases to 1% for each 1% of health you're missing. Now we'll generally always have 40% health for this build, so it means we're actually gaining 30% health when you add that all up. Now when we use Avatar of Vengeance, it gains the following effects. So maximum health restored cannot exceed 40% of your max health, but you gain a 20% base attack speed and 10% critical hit chance. So when we think back to the first talent, way back here, if we're using this in conjunction with Facing the Madness and Avatar of Vengeance, it means when this is up, you're gaining a 20% critical hit chance, and then you've got the 10% brutal strike chance as well. So when you're using this, you will see a ton of red numbers all over the screen. Now the more balanced setup that you can actually use for talents here would be Gifts from On High. So with this, when you activate Statue of Khonshu or Avatar of Vengeance, the other will also activate as well for free, and that also increases your Khonshu's favour by 200, which means you get an extra 1 second on the buff there. But next up, let's have a look at the synergies. So with the synergies, we always start off by looking at the primary attribute, and it's durability and fighting for Moon Knight, so that would be Luke Cage and War Machine. For the more generic synergies, we have Blade, Hawkeye, Hulk, She-Hulk and Squirrel Girl, and the specific synergies that work great here are Black Widow for the range damage rating. You then have Moon Knight, and you will gain extra damage while you're below 50% health. You have Punisher as well, and he will give you gun and range damage, because some of our skills actually have the gun tag as well, so that can really work out great. But next up, let's have a look at the infinity point allocation, and this is where we would place the first 100 points. So for the first 100 infinity points, we actually have 2 options here. Now if you're going for the more risk reward build where your health pool will consistently be at 40%, you want a larger health pool, so that 40% is worth more. So for that reason you would use the Space Gem and Gravity Well. It gives you 50% extra base health, and on top of that the masteries are pretty great. It's where your med kit causes you to take 10% less damage for 5 seconds, and your overall increased damage reduction goes down by 1%. Now if you're going for the more balanced build, you can actually go for my old trusty Mind Gem and Deep Thought, so that way you can get an Avatar of Vengeance to actually last longer by upping your resource there. But next up, let's have a look at the general gearing setup. So with this gearing section, what we will do as always is just give some general advice on where you want to gear for this build, and that means that when new gear comes out you can apply the guidelines I provide here to let you know if you want to mix about and move your items. Now if we look at the legendary, this is one piece of gear that won't change, hence why I'm showing it off. It's the Golden Bow of Apollo, fantastic for range heroes with the damage rating, the critical hit rating, the rank 3 and 5 procs, and on top of that it's got the 10% attack speed, and this is great because you have a fast hitting spender, and fast hitting attacks gain more from attack speed because they'll be able to hit even faster than slower ones that see less gain. Now when it comes to the medallion, be safe to use the Mandarin medallion for the time being because that is a great ranged medallion. For the relic, again we're going for ranged here, nice and simple. Artifacts you would go for durability and fighting, so keep an eye out for them. There's none that work really fantastically well and look to be custom made for them the way some other heroes are, so for that reason you might want to go for more generic artifacts like Gem of the Cursed, which can work on just about any hero. For the ranks 1 to 5 and also your ring, now because we gain a flat 10% brutal strike and crit chance, and when our avatar is up we actually gain a 20% crit chance, what you want to do is you want to go heavier on your actual primary attributes here, and you would go for fighting for the crit rate and multiplier, and then you would add in some brute, and finally you would add in some crit. That's the order you want to add them in on. But what we'll do now to finish off the video as always is we have some gameplay, and I will run through the subway operation and face off against Shocker. Now as always I will mention that the gameplay here is purely to show off how the build works and how the rotation works. So if there's any questions feel free to ask as always. Hope this was useful and enjoy this gameplay.